To me, being a photographer is about being someone who can see things differently. Before taking a picture, I question myself as to why I want to document a specific subject or particular little detail. I think about why that something has caught my eye and how it makes me feel. But all those thoughts actually rush by within an instant. Time seems to be frozen, allowing me to consider every aspect of my shot to capture the atmosphere as I experience it, in an attempt to convey this in the final outcome. In the split-second moments, it's just me and my time machine around my neck or shoulder. To me, photography is a never-ending journey of exploration and discovery. Photography is inherently quite a solitary medium. I've always been a bit of a lone wolf, so I think that's what attracted me to it. I like working on my own and figuring out how to be self-sufficient when it comes to realizing my project ideas. Photography has taught me a lot about myself, what I'm interested in, how I feel and see everything around me. My relationship with photography is pretty obsessive. It's always on my mind. Major and obvious influences are music, books, films, fashion, and cultural contexts. Sometimes it's encounters with people and places, or personal and contemporary issues. I walk a lot and always see or hear something interesting along the way. I pick up on certain phrases overhearing conversations. Sometimes something as simple as a word can spark my imagination. This picture was taken a couple of years ago when I was on a study trip in Stuttgart, Germany. I was only there for about 3 days, and on the second day everyone was given some free time in the afternoon to go and explore the city. I saw this elderly couple in the park, fast asleep. It seemed like everyone was taking an afternoon nap there. You can see the legs and feet of another person just entering the left side of the frame, lying down horizontally, taking up the whole park bench. I quietly approached the couple to take a snapshot, and just as I pressed the shutter, the woman woke up and took off her hat. This sudden movement was captured in my picture, with her hat covering up her face. The man didn't notice me at all. My relationship with photography actually started quite late. It wasn't until I was around 15 or 16 when my dad gave me his old digital pocket camera, which shortly afterwards I took with me everywhere I went. When I finished high school in the Netherlands, I moved to the UK to study and got an entry-level DSLR to document my life during this period away from home. The year after, I felt confident enough to try analog photography. I taught myself traditional photographic processes, spending lots of time in a darkroom on campus. I completely fell in love with the tangible aspect of photography and making prints. It is still like magic to me now, watching the image appear from nothing. Looking back, photography kind of helped me cope with the homesickness I felt at the time. I suppose my camera was like a companion that always tagged along and that I used to capture and commemorate what I was seeing and experiencing. Fascinated by documenting my daily encounters and whereabouts, I use photography as a catalyst for my imagination. Photography gives me an excuse and a reason to delve into adventure and approach people. Fundamentally, all my works outline a particular exercise of seeing and thinking, which I intend to share with others. I took this picture on holiday in Budapest, Hungary, summer of 2019. I love how Budapest is kind of stuck in time. Everything looks very authentically eerie. I noticed a man in a suit, carrying a suitcase, staring at the window display of an antiquarian bookshop. Some people have a certain look about them, which makes them seem as if they belong to a specific era. This man, his whole appearance, clothes and posture, was one of those people. Combined with the setting of the street, an old shop front, I felt as if I had travelled through time and ended up in a bygone version of Budapest. I took this image in Amsterdam last October. I noticed a man at a small cafe by the canals who was drinking a cup of coffee while smoking a cigar and reading a newspaper. He told me he is a lawyer and that he used to do some modeling work when he was younger. That made perfect sense, as I was immediately struck by his distinct look and the way he carried himself. He said that one time when he was in Paris, 2 young ladies thought he was a real Frenchman because he was wearing his usual suit, a boiler hat, and was smoking a pipe. He laughed about how he deceived them, saying that of course he is not French at all, but just a well-dressed Dutchman. I suppose you could say that the overarching theme of my work is the marginalized, whether in everyday objects or people. In my work, I aim to bring about the visible traces of the obscured and the mundane, to pay attention to that which may otherwise go unnoticed. I look for patterns and clues that run throughout my findings. I've realized that I'm naturally drawn to notions of identity and memory and the sense of being disregarded and overlooked. That's why I also work a lot with found and archival images, materials that are often forgotten about. They all carry a sense of history to them, and that they evoke memories and associations through visible evidence, signs of love, abuse, and neglect. When working with pre-existing ready-mades, photographs that were taken by other people, I wonder about the what, when, and why. It's hard to think in realms of good and bad when it comes to art, because it's so personal and subjective. To me, a composition or any aspect of a photograph is interesting or powerful when it has managed to capture a certain atmosphere. Intention, passion, and emotion are all important and meaningful aspects to consider before composing a shot. I study everything very attentively when taking a photograph, from the way the light hits my subject to the deeper connotations of certain colors and angles, but at the same time I like allowing opportunity for serendipity when taking a picture, to have control to a certain extent, but leave room for chance and see where this can take me. My ongoing mannequin series, 𝙏𝙏 𝙏𝙏, started with my interest in mimicry and resemblance, which is explored in the context of the doll, dummy or mannequin, as our inanimate and mute double. Usually cast from real bodies, a mannequin may be considered a kind of photograph in itself, and similarly to the photographic image, mirrors and echoes the socio-economic conditions of its time. When photographed, many differences between an actual person and a doll tend to diminish due to the camera's ability to capture them frozen in time and space alike. They occupy a remarkable position in our visual landscape, as idealistic tableaux behind shop windows, as informative artifacts in museum displays, or as objects for play inside a child's dollhouse, and make us think about the impermanence of our youth, appearance, and constantly changing attitude to human form. I'm not only interested in using this analogy as means of representing humanity, but also to raise questions about what it means to be human and the deceptiveness of appearances. The process of taking a picture is very therapeutic and nurturing to me. By highlighting certain aspects and ignoring others, I hope to draw people in, subtly direct and influence their gaze, but leave it up to them to discover and interpret their personal relation to the story behind my work. I find what I include within my frame just as interesting as what I don't include. It's hard to say where my practice is headed towards at this point. The past year I've been playing a lot with combining fiction and reality within my work, and I definitely want to continue exploring this area of interest for the near future.